Welcome everyone to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. Full legislative activities have resumed at the National Assembly, so let's get right into it, beginning with the Senate. Now, President Bola Tinubu has written to the National Assembly seeking approval to increase the 2025 budget from 49.97 trillion naira to 54.2 trillion naira. Also, following President Bola Tinubu's assent to bills establishing development commissions for various regions in the country, the Senate has conducted a minor reshuffle, appointing chairman and deputy chairman to oversee these commissions. Senator Babangida Hussaini and Senator Muntari Dandutse will serve as chairman and deputy chairman of the Senate Committee on the Northwest Development Commission. Similarly, Senator Orji Uzokalu and Senator Kenneth Eze have been appointed as chairman and deputy chairman of the Senate Committee on the Southeast Development Commission, while Senator Titus Zam and Senator Issa Jibrin will head the Senate Committee on the North Central Development Commission. The Senate also reshuffled the leadership of some standing committees. Anyways, here's more on what transpired in the Senate this past week.
President Bola Tinubu has officially requested the National Assembly's approval to increase the 2025 budget from 49.7 trillion naira to 54.2 trillion in a formal letter submitted to the chamber.
President of the Senate.
This was conveyed in a formal letter submitted to the lawmakers, which was read during plenary. In the letter, President Tinubu cited additional revenues generated by key government agencies, including the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigeria Customs Service.
I am writing to inform you of the availability of additional revenue amounting to 4.5 trillion naira and to propose its allocation within the 2025 appropriation bill to enhance the budget's responsiveness to the nation's most pressing priorities and aspirations. So from government-owned enterprises, GOEs, we have about 1.8 trillion. From Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, we have about 1.4 or 1.5 thereabout trillion. And federal government's 52% share of the increase in revenue from 22.1 trillion to 25.1 trillion. With this additional revenue, the 2025 appropriation bill's total budget size will increase from 49.7 trillion to 54.2 trillion naira, demonstrating our commitment to inclusive growth and security.
The Senate President also read a letter from Senator Ned Nwoko stating his desire to defect from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress.
In view of the need to maintain multi-party democracy in Nigeria, I urge the Senate to take this matter seriously by setting up an ad hoc committee to investigate the crisis within the People's Democratic Party and even go ahead to recommend a way forward in order to safeguard opposition politics in Nigeria. I remain committed to serving the people of Delta North and contributing to the progress of our dear nation. Accordingly, I hereby request that my new party, the APC, accepts me into their fold and urge the Senate to reflect my further stay in these chambers as a full-fledged member of the All Progressives Congress. The PDP is almost dead and about to be buried with my defection. Please accept the assurances of my highest regards. Yours sincerely, Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, the new APC member of the Nigerian Senate.
His defection brings the total number of APC lawmakers to 64, while the PDP now has 33 lawmakers. This did not go down well with members of the opposition in the Senate.
As I'm speaking to you now, there is no division in PDP. We may be having issues in PDP. There is crisis, no doubt about it, but definitely there is no division in the rank and file and the leadership of the PDP.
This is a matter that rests squarely on the Constitution, the right of every legislator to cross carpet. And the Constitution defines the circumstances under which that can happen. And our own rules also take legislative note of that constitutional provision. The minority leader himself defeated himself by reading the proviso to section G, section 68 sub G. The proviso, whether or not there is division in PDP, is a matter of fact that will not be tried on the floor of this Senate. They can go to the court of law.
Mr. President, everybody knows in this country that is a split in the PDP. No. You have the wicked faction, you have Bala Muhammad and his co-faction, and so on and so forth. Even a boy on the street knows this. And why is the minority leader telling what is he telling us? There is a faction, Mr. President. No. Do you belong to wicked faction or Bala Muhammad faction? Which faction do you belong? I am not grandstanding. I want to point out here, and I stand to be corrected, that PDP is not divided. The APC also has points in court. Are they divided? Is there division in APC?
The point of order,
APC is in court.
The point of order raised by the Senate leader is hereby.
Mr. President, there is no division in PDP.
What happened is, it was nothing but grandstanding. And he also knows that once there is a clear-cut division in the NWC, the any member can go to wherever he wishes. So I don't want us to we are hide under one finger. Minority leader, your point of order is noted. However, your request is ruled out of order.
Calm is eventually restored as the lawmakers proceeded to consider a request by President Tinubu to terminate the appointment of 3 suspended resident electoral commissioners.
The Senate is aware of an executive communication from Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation, requesting the Senate to invoke Section 157 sub 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to formally terminate the appointment of Dr. Nura Ali, Sokoto State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari, Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner, and Professor Ikemefuna Chijioke Uzochukwu, Abia State Resident Electoral Commissioner, respectively. Senate is also aware that the aforementioned resident electoral commissioners were early suspended in 2022 and 2023, bordering on allegations of infractions of Electoral Act.
The appointments of Dr. Nura Ali, Sokoto State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari, Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Ikemefuna Chijioke Uzochukwu, Abia State Electoral Commissioner, by more than 2/3 of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the appointments are hereby terminated.
In line with the resolution, the Senate has directed the clerk to formally communicate the approval of the request to President Tinubu for implementation. Meanwhile, the Senate has ordered an investigation into allegations made by Niger Republic's military leader, General Abdurrahmane Chiani, accusing the Nigerian government of colluding with France to destabilize Niger's internal security. This order followed a motion brought to the Senate by the chairman of the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Senator Shehu Buba.
The Senate notes with deep concern the serious and unfounded allegations made by the head of state of Niger Republic, Brigadier General Abdurrahmane Chiani, accusing Nigeria of colluding with France to destabilize Niger through a new militia group called Lakurawa, allegedly operating in Nigeria's northwest region. He claims that foreign military bases in Nigeria are being used to target Niger's oil pipelines and create security threats.
Since this is coming from him as a distinguished senator, let us just agree that his committee be made to go and carry out whatever investigation that needs to be carried out, and the committee will present a report to us in an executive session.
The motion is now referred to the Committee on Intelligence and National Security, jointly with the Committee on Foreign Affairs, to report back within 4 weeks.
In another motion, the lawmakers debated on the oil spill and fire outbreak in Buguma, Rivers State.
Recalls that incidents of oil spills and fire outbreaks in the Niger Delta region are recurrent and often result from lapses in safety protocols, sabotage, or inadequate enforcement of environmental laws.
We have to descend heavily on the operators. This OML 18, where this spill has occurred, the operator should be given heavy fine.
There's what we call pollution tax. I think we need to institute pollution tax in that area. And whatever revenue is generated from that tax should be used to address this type of problems.
Meanwhile, the Senate has confirmed Captain Chris Najomo as the substantive Director General of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority after the consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Aviation. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts has issued an ultimatum to several top government agencies, warning that failure to appear before the committee over pending audit queries will result in arrest warrants and possible removal from office.
Now let's move on to the House of Representatives. Lawmakers are asking the federal government to immediately halt all divestment processes by IOCs until their historical, environmental, and social liabilities are addressed. Also, the House of Representatives is asking the Nigerian Communications Commission to investigate reports and take immediate actions against any telecom service provider found to be involved in linking national identification numbers, NIN, to subscribers' lines without their consent, thereby exposing them to criminal activities and subjecting legitimate NIN holders to grave risk. Here's a report.
Full legislative activities commenced on Wednesday as the House of Representatives resumed plenary after adjourning in honor of the late Deputy Chief Whip of the House, Honorable Adewumi Onanuga.
This motion,
a matter of urgent national importance, bordering on alleged wrongful linkage of national identity numbers by telecom providers with phone numbers, was raised and considered.
the potential risk and consequences of this unauthorized data linking includes identity theft, financial fraud, and other forms of cybercrime that have become rife in Nigeria lately. The House is further aware that innocent citizens have been wrongly implicated in crimes. They suffer reputational damage, harassment, and legal challenges for crimes they know nothing about.
The motion was adopted as the House directed its committees in Communications and Interior to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter.
This bill
Next, the House resumed debate on a bill to amend the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act to insulate judicial officers from prosecution before being lawfully removed from office has scaled second reading in the House.
Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, clearly tells us and Nigerians the category of people that should enjoy immunity of any kind, and that does not include judicial officers.
Lawmakers debate for and against the bill as it eventually scales second reading.
What it needs to do one is to prevent the prosecution,
criminal or civil, because you didn't mention.
Well, anyone.
Anyone?
Yes, while serving, because the idea is to prevent them from being hounded arbitrarily.
The complication we have on this floor with respect to this bill is because we don't have the bill. We don't know what is the provisions of his amendment.
You don't have the bill?
We don't have the bill.
Wow.
That is why we're a bit stuck. with the provision of Section 308, we know that Section 308 of the Constitution is talking about the President, the Vice President, the Governor, and the Deputy Governor.
In the meantime, a bill for an act to establish the Michael Okpara University, Umudike, has scaled second reading. The House is proposing life imprisonment for persons involved in proliferation of fake drugs. The resolution of the House is sequel to a motion by Honorable Mukhtar Shagaya on the rising spate of proliferation of fake drugs and counterfeit goods across the country. The lawmakers also want huge fines to be imposed on importers and producers of counterfeit goods.
Welcome back to the Gavel. Time for the breakdown now. Here's the reaction of the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center to the proposed bills for creation of 31 states and local governments across the different regions of the country. Here's the breakdown.
I think there's been quite a lot of requests for creation of states which have been submitted to the National Assembly, particularly the Committee on Constitutional Review. I think those who are asking for the creation of states, and I know that this is particularly very important for the people of the Southeast to have one more state created for the Southeast in order to be at par with the rest of the geopolitical zones. Of course, the Northwest has already 7 states. The Southeast has 5 states, and the rest of the geopolitical zones have 6 states. So for the people of the Southeast, that's a particularly important issue. But the Constitution is very clear about how new states can be created. The aspects that gets to the Constitutional Review Committee is much later in the day, after the states have actually been approved. For new states to be created, there has to be a request submitted or signed by all of the members of the National Assembly, State House of Assembly, and elected local government officials, councillors and chairmen, signing off to say that they want this area created as a state. Once that request is made, it is submitted, and usually in practical terms, it will be submitted to INEC. INEC would then conduct a referendum in the area. And once that referendum indicates that the people from the area want the state, which has been requested for in their name, it goes to the national, it goes to the states. All the states of the country must vote. So you have to have 2/3 of states support that, and the National Assembly approves, and then it goes to, it would seem to me, goes to the president for assent, and thereafter a state would be created. So what I've seen today is you have individual members file a request for creation of states with the Constitutional Review Committee. The Constitutional Review Committee, in my sense, really doesn't quite have a role, especially at the beginning of the process. So I think that members of the National Assembly who are putting in bills for the creation of states needs to read Section 8 of the Constitution of Nigeria to understand the procedure for the demand for a creation of a state in an area. What is required is for the people of the area to vote in a referendum. So once they vote in a referendum and that referendum approves that request, then it goes to the states, it goes to National Assembly, and it goes to the states. And 2/3 of the states must vote to have this approved before it is sent to the president, if he has to treat it as a bill, for assent, and then it passes. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a political solution. First of all, to take into account the situation with the Southeast that is demanding for equality of states with other geopolitical zones. But beyond that as well is the fact that the constitutional requirement of all states, or 2/3 of states, approving the request for a creation of state from any part of the country, because that has to be the case, you would have to have a sit down politically where it is agreed, both for economic reasons and for geopolitical balance, where you should have states created, especially given the fact that the concept, even though it's not a constitutional concept, but the concept of geopolitical zones have become a strong concept in the political calculations of the country. So you have to have a political decision taken on this matter. And so far, I don't see that that political decision has been taken. It usually would be more effective if that political decision was taken and the president takes that initiative forward. The states, as you know, were created under the military, and they were created by Fiat, and that's why the complaint has been, whether it is with respect to states or with respect to local governments, about the inequality and unjust manner states were created by the military. That's why this issue of state creation continues to reign.
On Constituency Focus this week, our guest is Honorable Clement Jimbo, representing Abak Etim Ekweika Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State in the House of Representatives.
First, we've empowered our people in terms of training on different skill sets. Is it ICT? Is it on soil plastering? And the rest of them. Over 400 of our constituents have benefited from that. Then we move into capital projects, road grading, solar street light, building of schools. So far, we have installed solar street light across the different communities in my federal constituency, not less than 200 stands of solar street light. Remember when subsidy was removed and the prices of petroleum products skyrocketed, and we thought it wise to make sure these communities are provided for with solar-powered borehole where they don't need to use generator or use fuel to power the boreholes. So these projects are currently on, and people are benefiting from it. We've equally started and completed town hall meetings in these communities. We've equally assisted our people to register for JAM, registered at least 300 of our people in JAM, and they've sat for the exam. Many of them have gained admission, and they are currently undergoing their studies. We have equally graded nothing less than 30 kilometers of roads, rural roads, which were completely impassable before then. And so far, these roads are accessible for people, rural dwellers, to access this road easily, to make life bearable for them. We've equally done a lot of empowerment in terms of reaching out to our constituents that really supported us. We've empowered them with cars, we've empowered them with sewing machines, we've empowered them with grinding machine, we've empowered them with motorcycles, we've empowered them with agricultural equipment and tools, and we've equally followed it up with all kinds of cash empowerment. For example, the last one we did was to select market women and empower them with a minimum of 50,000 naira, about 93 of them. We've equally given scholarship to some of our constituents. We've equally empowered them with bursary, the students that are in tertiary institutions. And we've given a laptop to many of them that our abilities is capable of doing. So we have done a whole lot of empowerment in this regard. Then if you want to talk about the bills that we have sponsored and the motions that we have moved in this direction, which is equally gaining traction in terms of empowerment of our people. I recall when I was inaugurated, I brought a situation in my community, which is called Obiobom, a dilapidated bridge that has been there since 2001. And I brought it to the attention of the federal government in the parliament, and federal government has intervened. Right now, that bridge has been constructed for our people to benefit. We've equally sponsored a bill for the establishment of a Federal College of Laboratory Scientists in my community, in Abak to be precise. And that bill, by the grace of God, has scaled through first reading, second reading, public hearing, third reading, and it has been passed in the House, just waiting for the President to assent for that to be swung into action. And of course, the many motions and petitions we have equally laid in the House that have equally brought succor to so many of our constituents, not just my constituents, but Nigerians at large, because we've intervened for them to be reinstated in their workplace. We've equally intervened for them to be paid their arrears and emolument backlog and the rest of them. So, by the grace of God, within the 1 year and about 6-7 months, we have occupied this office. Our people have really benefited immensely and from the robust engagement of our legislative engagement.
Well, that's all the time we have with the Gavel. Thanks for your time. Remember to catch this episode and others on YouTube, or simply go to channelstv.com. Send feedback as well to the Gavel at channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.